Joyquilts. This is the final row of a quilt that has borders. So what I've done is there was 7 inches available space, so I've done a 6 1/4 inch pattern. This is China Lily or some such thing. Anyway, what we did was took it back into the software, and then I took it back into artwork. I put in 2 rows, mirror imaged one to the other, and then put them together so that they would join in the center. It's kind of a common way of making it so that both sides will balance. This is the last border, so it's a side border. So what we did on the other side, we have just now mirror imaged and flipped over so that it can match more or less inside to outside. The design's fairly similar, but there is a little bit of a difference from the bottom to the top. So what I'm trying to do here is get as close to that narrow border as I can with this border. Sometimes the border has gone a little bit over, and the center of the quilt also has done that. So as long as all the space is quilted, it looks really good to have the border merge into the center quilting of the quilt. Using Mettler Polysheen thread, top and bottom. It's a 40 weight polyester. It is my favorite. My machine really likes it. And also I'm using an SUK needle, which is the Jersey ballpoint, a 90. And that's also one of the standbys for this process. So any minute now you're going to see where it's going to get into the middle, and it's going to reverse, and the pattern forms kind of a neat little intersection. Some of them you have to go back into the software and redigitize and change the way the center meshes together, because sometimes it's a bit of an odd straight line that really doesn't make sense to the design. This particular one wasn't bad. I just had to move a couple of nodes here and there just to make it look balanced. But you can see there it's coming around the right side of that center circle, which really isn't part of the design. And now it's going to come back and do the pattern mirror imaged to the right side. So now we're coming down the left, and it will kind of puts like a little center point in the quilt too, which is kind of neat. It's a little tricky to wrap the quilt on the frame once it's been quilted, so sometimes I forget to leave enough room to pin it on it and keep safely away from the edges and the pins. You need at least an inch. That's a bit tight. This one I've got 3 inches on the bottom, but we had 1 inch on the top. So of course that became the top because it only had 1 inch clearance, and you want to really be careful not to hit those pins with your machine. First 2 borders I do edge to edge, and that way when I put it on sideways, it's very easy to fit them in, because the quilt is square, you don't have an issue. If there's a discrepancy in the shape of the quilt, that's more of a problem. So what I do is when I do the 2 sides, I start again, and these are programmed in as a separate quilting design from the center of the quilt. And then I will go and set the safe area for the top, and then I also reset the safe area for the bottom, just in case it's maybe not rolled on the frame quite perfectly, or the bottom or one side might be slightly different than the other. So this will allow your quilting to be exactly where you want it to be. So the same for top and bottom and side borders. It's really not a whole lot of extra work to do the borders, and it does really make the quilt look better. Edge to edge quilting is nice on a quilt that has a really narrow border, or a very busy design, or something that maybe doesn't even have a border. This one has a border, so it's kind of nice to put a specific design in it. I put a dark gray backing on this one too, so it's going to show really nicely on the back. I've quilted it top and bottom with that blue polysheen thread, so there'll be a nice contrast of thread on the back. And the quilting will show, because the backing is kind of you can see, it's kind of a gray, kind of streaky fabric, so and a little bit blotchy. It almost looks like one of those Stonehenges, but it's not. But it's got a lot going on in it, so I wanted to do a contrast thread so the quilting wouldn't be lost on it. Okay, we're coming up to the end now. Maybe we'll just move over and catch the edge of it. So the bordered fabric is a little bit busy. It's a batik with leaves on it, and it's mid to light blue. So I've chosen kind of a mid blue thread. It'll kind of blend with both colors. And the red border really makes this quilt. I really like the red border. Separates the center from the borders really nicely, so you can really see that there is a difference there. So it's going to nest up to this last border. Actually, it's going to nest up to the first border. The top and bottom I've done first. I could have done the side borders first and done them edge to edge. It really doesn't matter which border you do. It's just it was already on the frame, so I figured top and bottom would be easier. Often with a quilt that's this geometric, we will quilt it sideways or lengthwise, because it really doesn't make a difference. It's just all in the attitude of the quilter and what you feel like doing. So we're coming up to the last row now, and every once in a while I give it a little tweak if I feel like the quilt isn't quite straight on the frame and I want it to come down a little bit more. So you kind of give that a little twist, and that'll move that design up just slightly away from the edge, because you want to keep that nice 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. If you do it when the machine is going in a circular pattern, it just blends right in like beautifully. You don't even have to worry about it. If you do it on a straight line, then it's another story. Then sometimes you've got to redo it, because it'll pull the fabric and flag a little bit. So I'm going to move the camera one more time so you can see the very edge, the way it nests in. And it'll go right to this point here, which is the end of the first border. This pattern is really easy to do this with because it's very square. Some of them are more like triangular, and then that gives you a little bit more of an issue. So this one basically is pretty much the same top to bottom. So it works really well on this kind of thing. And there it is.